'cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute.
Bonjour and welcome to Flower and Party, your new podcast full of good vibes, of sparkles, of flowers, bright preferably, around the theme of weddings, but not only. Birth anniversaries, baptisms, I'm really fond of all the family celebration. And this is the reason why I wanted to share with you all my advices, my tips, all about my experience and my discoveries around this theme. Will you come with me?
Flashing red lights, driving at night, windowless ride.
Bonjour and welcome to this new episode of the podcast. I hope you're doing fine today. I also hope that the organization of your wedding is going really well. Maybe if you're listening to this, are you about to visit the first venues to, celebrate this great event in? And maybe would you like to avoid all the mistakes that could be made and to have a few tips on what to ask and what to think about while choosing your venue for the wedding. So here I am with a list of 10 questions to ask before booking your venue. And obviously the very first question to ask is, what is the capacity of each and every reception room? Because yes, of course, most of the time you'll visit the website of the venue and they will mention, sorry about that, a maximum capacity for your guests. This will be the case for the biggest room available at the venue, but they might not detail each and every single room that they have available, and depending on your list of guests, the number of guests you are planning on having, you might not end up in the biggest room. This is something you need to know. So please do not hesitate to ask about the capacity of every single room that they have and the various options that they have for the presentation of the dinner, meaning that whether they are seated or standing, you will not be able to have the same amount of guests in a room. So if you have a very big list of guests on your venue, maybe it would be nicer for them to be standing because it will enable them to feel more at ease. Or if you have less invitees, being seated might be a choice so that they don't feel lost in a very, very big room. So this will enable you to choose the most appropriate format to guarantee the best circulation comfort for everyone, and it will enable you as well to know in which room you will end up depending on the number of guests that you are planning to have. Same goes for the rooms to sleep. This is the right time to find out about the possibilities of sleeping on site, the rates, the number of rooms available, the reservation deadlines, etc. If many of your guests are traveling for your big day, this can be something that is essential to your organization. The second question would be to know if other weddings can be held at the same time as yours. Because yes, especially if you're getting married in the middle of the season, there is a good chance that other couples decide to get married on the very same day as you will. So this happens sometimes that several receptions are held at the same time in the same venue. So most of the time, no worries, the spaces are well separated, and your guests are not likely to cross paths with the other couple's guests. However, this can have an impact on your choice of rooms and your access to the different areas of the venue, especially the outside area. Thus, if you can negotiate to have a full privatization, it's the time to ask about this, to ask about the price, to ask about the conditions for that. Or it's the time to adapt your organization and know that you will be a few couples on the same venue at the same time. Another important question, in my opinion, is about the contractors, meaning that if you are planning on having a catering offered by someone else than the one that is listed on your venue's contract, there is a chance that they ask for an extra charge for that. We can understand the aim of the process. They want to ease your organization. They want to have a constant and recognized quality, so they have their own caterers, their own contractors that they are used to work with and that they know are good. However, if you want someone else, you need to know if there will be an extra charge for that, or if you want to follow their recommendation, you need to make sure that this fits your overall budget and tastes and conditions. And on the contrary, if no contractors are imposed are mandatory, maybe can you ask for recommendations for good ones that they know about? I'm sure they are well experienced and know most of the contractors in the region, so you can rely on their own experience. However, I think this is an important question to cover before booking your venue. The fourth question would be to ask about the scope of work, because yes, your hosts will surely announce a budget for your dates. This budget should include the cost of the booking of the venue itself. Please note that some restaurants do not charge for this. It's worth knowing and looking for that if you are still in the research phase. But they will, if there is a cost for the booking, they will tell you about this. They will tell you about any catering, brunch, room hiring, cost, etc. But before signing, it is essential, in my opinion, to understand what is precisely included in the service. So that's the best time to ask if the domain provides the furniture, who is in charge of setting up the tables, the chairs, the decoration. How about the dishes and the table linens? Are they provided by whom? And who is setting them up again? You can also ask very practical questions for your future providers, like if there is a power supply for your DJ, or the possibility to install speakers in the outdoor space, for instance. You could also ask about a storage room that is available for the sommelier or the nanny to put the children to sleep. Noting that this is obviously not the same room I'm talking about. Huh? But also don't hesitate to ask what is the level of equipment of the kitchen if you have a caterer that is not on their usual list of providers. To finish on that point, I'd invite you to just clarify the cleaning and tidying of the place aspect. Meaning that you need to make sure who is responsible for this and what is the possible cost of a subcontractor to do that for you. So yes, I agree, these are all small questions, but believe me, when the time comes, this will matter. The fifth question, if I'm not mistaken, would be to ask about how long exactly, precisely, will you have access to the venue? Depending on whether you're coming from far or not, this will matter as well. So ask about when you can start bringing all the decorations, all the equipment, and put in place the decoration in the venue. Maybe if you are getting married on a Saturday, maybe can you start decorating on the Friday? You need to make sure about that because believe me as well, if you can do that the day before, it will be really more comfortable for you. But if you cannot, you need to know about that and maybe delegate to someone in your family or amongst your friends to do that for you on the big day. About the big day itself, especially if the domain is not entirely privatized, you might ask as well about the time constraints during the night. If you have to turn the radio off, for instance, the music off, this is something that you need to know. And it's as well the case for the catering service. When does it stop? Can you still organize something to cover the time in between? This is something that is important to know about. And to finish still in the same way, some of your guests might want to prolongate, I don't know if it's a word, to, stay a little bit longer on your party and maybe the day after and even after the brunch. So it might be as well a good idea to know what time you should, give the venue back. And if it's too early for you, it will enable you to organize an after party somewhere, for a happy few. The sixth question would be to ask if there is any constraints on decoration. Yes, this is something that is somehow a detail, but somehow not. If you choose a charming party room that is already fully decorated, or a classified venue that you cannot touch, you will have more or less latitude for your decoration. Whether there is another wedding on the same venue as yours on the same day, or whether there is a classic catering service near your reception hall, this can also play a role in the decoration possibilities you will have. So if you are planning on having dried flowers bouquets along the path to the venue, if you want to put a sign at the entrance of the domain, if you are planning to hang a giant floral embroidery above the bride and groom's table, this is something that you need to make sure you can do with the owners before the celebration date. The seventh question would be to ask about the outdoor spaces. This is something I've mentioned already, but if you choose to have a wedding in the summer or spring seasons, the chances are good that everyone will love to use the outdoors. And I'm sure that on your own you will have all your plans in your head, whether it's to host a garden party or even to have a laic ceremony, a secular ceremony outdoors. So, in this case, you will need to know exactly what spaces you will have access to and to what extent they can be arranged. Do you need to take any precautions? Will you be able to play music? Will you be able to decorate, to put tables, to put chairs on the grass, for instance? These are really important questions because your hosts might not agree. But most of the time, don't worry, they are used to that. They know that the decorations outside are incredible. You can arrange photo booths, small animations here and there, put garlands in the trees, dried flowers everywhere. Yes, truly there are many possibilities, and I'm sure the owners of the venue will know about that, but it's always good to make sure what you can and cannot do before being just disappointed about something that you've planned already. And the question number 8 would be about a topic that you don't want to talk about, but that you still have to talk about, is the possibility of bad weather conditions and what is a backup solution in this possibility. Yes, don't tell me about it. I know. I know that the rain is one of the worst enemy of any bride-to-be. I know that, and trust me, you will not have to deal with that. But just in case, make sure that there is a backup solution and to make sure what it is and if it's something that suits you. Especially if you are planning something outdoors, whether it's a garden party or just a cocktail, just make sure that if the rain comes, they have a solution to propose to you, that it's a solution that is good enough for you. And if they have nothing planned, just prepare a barnum, a place that you can secure for a case of rain. Because trust me, even in the middle of the summer, it happens that you have rain in the evening and you do not want to ruin that just because you lack preparation. So this is always something that you can talk about and see how it's handled. Question number 9 is really practical but of importance as well, is do they have a parking lot? Yes, because on wedding days, even if you're the most environmentally friendly person, there is a good chance that you end up in a car, whether it's yours, a rented car or a shared car, because the venues of the celebration, the ceremony, the dinner, etc. are often not at the same place. So your guests will most likely be with a car. They will need to park it, and it's just so you know what is the parking possibility of the venue, what is the closest parking lot available, what's the cost of that, can you negotiate something for your guests or not. This is as well something that might be of use in due time. And to finish, the 10th question would be about something that you will not have to deal with, most likely, but that you still want to know about, and that's better safe than sorry. We always say that, right? So to avoid any surprise, I'd advise you to make sure of the terms of the reservation and also the consolations. Will you have to pay a deposit? How much? What is the timing for that? what is covered by all the contract, what is not covered, what you need to take care of, etc. All the questions previously mentioned, and about the cancellation, what are the deadlines, what are the conditions, is there a charge, what is the amount of the charge, etc., etc. That's something that you need to know about, because COVID experienced persons know about that. Cancellation is always a possibility, so you need to know what you're setting the foot in. If it's something that you say in English, I don't know. Anyways, better safe than sorry. Just make sure that you have read all the terms and conditions before signing. After that, I believe you should have most of the information you need to make your final decision. I'm sure the venue will be just magical for you. So please tell me all about it. Share me your impressions after your first visits. I'd love to have your feedback on these topics. Of course, as usual, don't forget to like this video, to comment it, to subscribe, not to miss the next episodes. And in the meantime, as always, don't forget, enjoy!
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.